The first time I saw her, I thought she was an illusion. Queen Lysera of the Zytherian Dominion was unlike anything humans had ever encountered. Her form was elegant and terrifying, tall, lithe, her skin a shifting tapestry of silver and violet. Her eyes glowed faintly, reflecting the light of the twin suns above the capital city of Vaeth, and behind her, wings of pure energy shimmered with every subtle movement. I, Captain Joran Kale, stood alone in her throne chamber, a diplomatic envoy sent under orders from the United Human Coalition. Our fleets had been locked in stalemate for over a decade. Humanity and the Zytherians had fought countless battles over star systems, resources, and ideologies. And now, after months of tense negotiations, I had come in person to discuss terms. I did not expect a marriage proposal. Her voice rang across the hall, but it wasn't sound as we knew it. It resonated directly in my mind, a harmonic vibration that made my teeth chatter and my nerves hum. "Marry me, human, or face endless war," she declared. The chamber went silent. The generals, diplomats, and advisors standing behind me paled as if they had been hit by a psychic blow. Even the Zytherian guards, towering and armed with crystalline energy lances, seemed to stiffen in shock. I froze. "Excuse me?" I managed, my mouth suddenly incapable of forming coherent words. "Do you understand?" she said, her eyes narrowing, wings folding around her like a storm gathering before the strike. "The war will not end until you consent. Your species' fleets will continue to burn star systems. Billions will die. The choice is yours, human. Decide wisely." I swallowed hard. I had studied diplomacy, xenolinguistics, and negotiation theory for years, but nothing in any textbook had prepared me for this. This is unprecedented," I said finally. "A marriage proposal as a condition of peace. To you, perhaps," she said softly, yet with unyielding authority. "To the galaxy, it is justice. Middle, the weight of choice." 4 days, I was held within the royal district of Vaeth, a gilded prison of living crystal and biometal architecture. Every corner of the palace whispered with power, every corridor thrummed with energy. I was allowed no contact with anyone from the Human Coalition except through holotransmissions, and each message was monitored. Queen Lysera did not pressure me overtly. She walked among me silently at first, observing, analyzing. Her presence alone was enough to make my chest tighten. "Do you know why I have chosen you?" she asked one evening, her voice like ripples across the mind. "I assume it's not random," I said cautiously. "You've had generations of humans to choose from." "No," she replied. "You carry something none of your kind does. Courage, but also restraint. The willingness to survive without surrendering your principles. That makes you uniquely qualified to carry the weight of peace." I looked at her, trying to measure whether she was serious or manipulating me, trying to weigh the odds of escape versus compliance. But the truth was simple and terrifying. If I refused, the war would continue. And if I accepted, my life would change irrevocably, possibly beyond return. "The fleets don't care about courage or restraint," I said. "They only know orders, objectives, and casualties." "And yet," she said softly, "it is not the fleets that matter. It is the will of those who command them. And that will is in your hands." I began to understand the gravity of her offer. This was more than a marriage proposal. It was a test, a weapon, and a solution rolled into one. The Zytherians had ruled for centuries. They were proud, calculating, and ruthless. And now, the continuation of human civilization rested on my decision, on my ability to navigate politics, power, and something I had never considered before, intimacy with a being whose lifespan eclipsed centuries. Middle, unlikely understanding. Days passed. I learned the rhythms of the palace and the queen. She was not cruel, though she could be terrifying. She expected honesty. She valued intelligence. And she was relentless in her observation of every human response. "I have studied your kind for centuries," she said during one conversation in the palace gardens, where flora floated and drifted in defiance of gravity. "Yet none have ever surprised me. Until you." "I'm just a man," I replied, exhaling slowly. "I don't understand why you would choose me." Her gaze softened. "Because a single human can carry far more than a single fleet. Your people are fractured, impulsive, mortal. And yet, you have survived wars I did not anticipate, decisions I did not foresee, and still, you remain human. That is rare." I looked at her, feeling the weight of centuries of expectation pressing down. "You're asking me to carry the weight of your empire as well as mine," I said. "Not carry it," she corrected. "Balance it. Together, we can prevent further destruction. But only if you accept the role I offer." The first time I laughed during my captivity, she tilted her head in curiosity. "You laugh despite everything?" "Yes," I said. "Because if I do not, I'll go mad before I make any decision at all." Her wings shimmered. "Perhaps that is why I chose you. Humanity survives not by avoiding despair, but by embracing the absurdity of it." Middle, the test of trust. The Queen did not ask me to marry her immediately. She allowed me time to understand the stakes, to learn her world, to meet her advisors, her generals, and even those who would oppose a human taking such a position of influence. Yet the threat of war loomed constantly. Missiles streaked past human colonies. Star systems caught in the outer rim erupted in skirmishes that seemed almost ceremonial. Every day of hesitation brought the screams of billions into sharper relief. It was during one of these moments, in the observation chamber overlooking the Zytherian capital, that I realized the true weight of her ultimatum. "Do you fear me?" she asked, her voice resonating in my mind. "I fear what will happen if I refuse," I said honestly. "Not you, not your empire, the consequences." "Good," she replied softly. "Fear can be an ally. It sharpens understanding. But you must not let it govern your actions entirely. A human might balk at obedience, yet flourish in choice. That is why I chose you." I understood then that her proposal was more than a demand. It was a mirror. She wanted to see if I could rise to the occasion, to weigh morality, pragmatism, and survival against emotion and instinct. And if I failed, the war would continue. The weight pressed on me, a mantle heavier than armor. I realized that the choice was not only about me, or even about her empire, but about every human alive. Ending, the choice that changed history. The day of the decision arrived. The throne chamber was filled with observers from both empires. Leaders, generals, diplomats, and scholars waited to witness whether peace or annihilation would prevail. I stepped forward. The Queen's gaze held me, steady and unyielding. "I understand the terms," I said, my voice clear. "I accept your proposal not as a surrender, but as a commitment to protect both our peoples." A hush fell over the chamber. The Zytherian court murmured in disbelief. Even the humans present seemed stunned that diplomacy could take such an intimate and unprecedented form. Queen Lysera extended her hand. "Then let this union not be of romance alone, but of duty, wisdom, and the preservation of life. Together, we will balance our worlds." I took her hand. A simple gesture, yet it carried the weight of empires, the hope of millions, and the promise of a future free from endless war. The war did not end overnight, nor was it painless. But with the Queen and I united through alliance and understanding rather than submission, negotiations gained traction, skirmishes slowed, and star systems previously lost to chaos began to rebuild. In private, Lysera whispered once, almost tenderly, "Together, human, we will ensure history remembers peace, not only the victories of war." And in that moment, I understood something profound. Leadership is not merely about power. It is about courage, empathy, and the willingness to accept responsibility for choices far greater than oneself. As I looked out over the twin suns of Vaeth, I knew the galaxy had changed, not through weapons or strategy, but through a human willing to step forward and say yes, and a queen willing to trust a species she had long considered unpredictable. History would remember that day. It would remember the ultimatum. But more importantly, it would remember the choice. And that choice would shape the fate of countless worlds.